So I sent an email out about making sure that you reference the particular cells in Excel as much as you can, especially if you're running a regression. So let's say I wanted to run a regression where I'm predicting the amount of credit hours that students are taking at LSUS, and I'll use headcount and tuition as my independent variables. So I'll go ahead and do that quickly. I haven't shown you guys this yet, but I'm going to pick this output range in the same sheet. I want the output to go right there, starting right there. So instead of having an entire new worksheet where I'd have to flip back and forth down the little tabs down here, I'll just have this output range right there. I'll go okay. So here's my original data, and I've got my my regression results right there. Dependent is credit hour production, and here's my couple independent variables. 64. That's pretty good. Jeez. Explaining how many credits hours students are taking just based on how many students are there and the amount of tuition. I would assume that the more students there are, the more credits the more total credits that were taken at LSUS, and that's positive and significant. That's nice. I would have expected the tuition to be negatively related. If the price goes up, people may not want to take as many classes, and that's negative, which is kind of nice. It's not quite significant though, 18, so it's above the 10% cutoff that we usually use. My head count is significant at 1%, so that's nice. Can we predict how much credit hour production if head count is, I'll just say 4,500 just to guess, and tuition is, so I'll say 2,500. So if there was this question here, how much credit hour production would there be if head count is 4,500 students and if tuition is 2,500? Again, you would just use your equation to try to come up with this estimate. So you could just kind of type it in the way that the way that my results are right here. I could go, okay, well, let me go 35711.6 plus 16.6845 for the head count, and I want, if my head count prediction is 4,500, and then minus 1.80463, and if the tuition is 2,500, then I'll do that. So again, you have this equation written out, and you're plugging in the expected values for headcount and tuition, and you hit that. Okay, so I think there's going to be 106,280 credit hours produced. The way that I typed that out was all just using the values that happened to show up in this table. So I did, again, 35711.6, 16.6845. That depends on how many numbers are showing up here. If I go like this, well, suddenly this is going to be different now. If my table is bigger, I'd go, well, 35711.57273. And it's pretty close, but they're certainly not equal. Even if you bring it out here or extend it as much as you want, I guess the regression is probably, well, I can move it out as much as I want to do. It seems like they kind of cut it off at a certain point, but for me, it's just, well, Excel has a better idea of the value of these coefficients than I do just by looking at them and kind of typing them in again. So why don't I just use what's actually there? So that's my intercept plus that coefficient times 4,500 plus that, which is it's going to keep its negative number in front of it, times 2,500. And it's a little bit closer to this one because I used the much longer values for that version of the formula that I typed in. It's certainly a bit away from this one. And again, if you just went really extreme the other way, and just kind of chopped it all down to without having any decimal places at all, equals 35712 plus 17 times 500 minus 2 times 2,500. I'm way off on that one. So if I just, if I didn't use any decimal places at all, I'd be, 1,000 credit hours off. But the most accurate you're going to get is to just refer to the cells directly instead of typing in 35,712. Even when I kind of chopped it down this way, like I didn't show those decimal places here, this formula didn't change. I mean, the result of that equation is exactly the same, because Excel knows that I don't just want -2. I want the entire coefficient spread out to as many digits as Excel is able to handle. So to the extent that you can, keep referring to the cells, and if it comes to the point where I'm asking you a question in Moodle, type in how many credit hours were produced, then you can actually round it and say, well, I have to type this in, so I'm just going to type in 106,280. Trying to look at these things and just taking the values as regression results are given to you with however many digits are there, it can be misleading if you just manually type those in, 16.84 or 684461. It's not going to be as accurate as just referring to the cell directly.